What is up, everybody? It's your boy Slumpenstein, and I'm back, baby. I'm back making content. I've just been live streaming lately, but I want to start a new little thing. I have a lot of Nintendo powers. I collect a lot of video game magazines, and there's a certain section in Nintendo Power that I used to love to read. Okay, so it's called the Pulse section. They used to call it Player's Pulse. They called it just Pulse near the end, but it's where. And sorry about the sweat. It's 100 degrees outside. But it's where they used to read. Not read. They used to. The players, the readers used to send in letters, and I just want to read the letters from different issues. Dating back to the 90s. Some in the 80s, some 2000s, all the way up until when they stopped making Nintendo Power. And this right here is issue 38. It has Street Fighter 2 on the front of it. It is from 1992. Okay, just to give you an idea. I will be showing some, I'll probably just put it in the B-roll, the picture of the cover. But I'm just going to read through these. There's a few of them, and they're just really interesting to read. The first one says Student Power. I'm a high school student and a power player. Whenever I feel like it, I'm buried in research papers, excuse me. Tests, labs needing to be completed. I call a timeout and go for my Super Nintendo, NES, or Game Boy. Playing video games clears my mind. It also gets rid of stress. I found the systems to be the next best thing to having an actual arcade machine, and they cost less. Now, if this issue came out in 1992, so that was around the time where the Super Nintendo came out. The Genesis had already been out for 3 years, and they were actually still making NES games. So there was a lot to pick from. Okay, so the next one is we got our NES in 1988 and have been beaten. Sorry, I can't read right now. We got our NES in 1988 and have beaten about 50 games. One really cool thing is that my brother has no arms and he plays with his feet. So as a picture of him and his brother, and I'll put this in B-roll also, and his brother obviously has no arms and he plays all the NES games with his feet. That would be awesome to see, dude. Can you imagine somebody beating? First of all, just think about how hard games were back then, and you got people beating them with their feet, and some people can hardly even beat them with their hands. It's crazy. While my brother Nicky was playing SimCity, I started playing the Village music on my keyboard. After working out a few bugs, it sounds perfect. Okay, so SimCity is obviously, he's referring to the Super Nintendo game. I don't really know too much about that. I'm not a real big Sims player, especially I never played on the Super Nintendo. The next one, Dad said we can get the Super Nintendo if we get along for 30 days. He already has it, but it's in the garage attic. He'll even cut it down to 20 days if things go well. I have two brothers who always fight, so I doubt we will get it. So this sounds like, yeah, like a trio, and Pops was trying to get them to be good, so he went out to Kmart, went out to, I'm trying to think, Funko Land, and got, their Super Nintendo, and was trying to make them be good to get it. I wonder if he ever got it. Chris Pickin from Michigan, let me know if you got it, man. Next one, there's a couple more here. I've owned a Genesis for a year, but have played my NES more because I wasn't impressed with the so-called next generation. There's actually quotations. I purchased the Super Nintendo and found the real next generation. There's no comparison. ActRaiser is like playing a classical CD, and the Mode 7 action in Pilot Wings is incredible. Give it up, Genesis. Now for you, for those of you that don't know, the Mode 7 was one of the main selling points of the Super Nintendo. A lot of games utilize it. Pilot Wings was a launch game, so obviously that was one of the first games to utilize it. But there was a lot of games that utilized it. Star Fox utilized it a lot. Mario RPG utilized it. There was a lot of games. Battletoads, I believe, utilized it on the Super Nintendo. So, yeah. So it was a big feature. It was a big deal, man. On a home console, being able to, show those quote unquote 3D graphics, it was a big deal. This next one, I'm having a hard time deciding which system to buy. Super Nintendo or Genesis. Everyone knows that the Super Nintendo has the best action and adventure games like Street Fighter 2 and the new Zelda game. Even Street Fighter 2 did come out on the Genesis. I want to say it came late because they got like a tournament edition, so it came later than the Super Nintendo. So it may not have been out on it. I'm not sure. And this is kind of off the record, but I'm not the biggest fan of playing a fighting game on the Sega Genesis unless you have the 6-button. You have to have the 6-button controller if you're gonna play a fighting game on the Sega Genesis. If you don't, what are you doing it for? Because of those 3 buttons, and it's just really goofy how you have to play with that. But where was I at? Has the best action and adventure games like Street Fighter 2 and the new Zelda game. But I love sports games. Genesis may have the upper hand in that category. What can I look forward to in Super Nintendo sports games? And I guess I can agree to that, that it has the upper hand because they did have a big variety of sports games. Like, I'm just looking at my stuff right now, and I have a lot of them, not really because I play them. I mean, I have played them before, but, triple play, they got Madden, then they had MLB, PA baseball. They've had a lot more franchises, it seemed like. And it seemed like on the Super Nintendo it was games like Super Play Action Football and stuff like that. Stuff that wasn't really, just as good as the Genesis. I may be wrong. I didn't really play sports games back then. That was more of my uncles and stuff. But, I see where he's coming from. Oh, they actually have, I didn't notice this, some of the articles actually have responses. So one of the response to this one is, there should be about 25 Super Nintendo sports games by the end of the year. Keep your eye on Pack Watch. And I don't know what Pack Watch is. I'm gonna assume that was like a news feed for upcoming games. And that's all they have. That's all the fan mail for this issue. Then they have a couple of little kids that are dressed up as some different things. One is dressed up as Michael Jackson, and one's Boba Fett. But like I said, Players Pulse was always awesome, man. They sent in fan art. There's no fan art in this issue, but I'm sure there are in a lot of the other issues. It was just my favorite thing to read in this in Nintendo Power every month. But that is it. Tell me if you like this format of video. This is something I've really been wanting to do. Like I said, I have a lot of Nintendo Power, so I can do this weekly. I can do it bi-weekly. I just, I'll probably just keep doing it because more for, even if people aren't, if you guys, enjoy it per se. I just like reading through them. So, like I said, let me know down in the comments below if you like this type of video. Did you used to read the Pulse? Did you read Nintendo Power at all? If you did not, what video game magazine did you read? Thank you guys for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later.